against the government of President Bashar al-Assad. What began with protests in the southern city of Deraa following the killing of schoolchildren has turned into a nationwide revolt. The UN estimates at least 8,500 people have lost their lives. International efforts to stop the violence have been faltering at best. Meanwhile, the main Syrian exile opposition group, the Syrian National Council, has been accused of failing to help rebels on the ground in Syria. Several prominent members have reportedly resigned from the council in the latest setback. And for more, we're now joined on the set by the council's Paris-based spokesman, Basma Kodmani. Good morning, thank you very much for coming in. And also by our international affairs editor, Douglas Herbert.
I'd like to actually cut right to the chase, excuse me. We're at the 1 year point right here. Your group has been considered the main exile opposition group, but it's also been accused of being autocratic, not helping the rebels on the ground, and actually in danger of causing splits in Syrian society itself. How do you respond to all these charges?
The first two I could respond to easily. I think what we are facing is two major challenges. One is that an opposition in exile is structured in a certain way if it is a short-term opposition front as opposed to long-term, when an opposition needs to become an organization and structure itself along real serious rules of operating. And this has been, I think, the new challenge is that we now understand that we might have to last for some time still. So the organization inside and the decision-making process is something that needs certainly to be reviewed, to be improved, and to be made more open and more participatory.
But it seems like the clock is ticking against you right now. We have three members. The reports are that Haytham al-Malek, Kamal al-Abwani, and Catherine al-Tali all announced on their Facebook pages that they're quitting the SNC. First of all, can you confirm that they're leaving?
They are leaving. Let me just say this. This is an umbrella organization, and it is a substitute for the country. It's a substitute for the state. Today, there's no more Syria for us. Syria is under occupation by this regime. We need to have an alternative framework which brings in all national groups. Now, this is the big challenge, is how you organize that group. But people who step out and just decide that they do not want to operate within this national framework. We have to fight inside this framework. Other revolutions solved it quickly and then fought on the ground between themselves politically. For us, we have to do everything, resist the regime, support the revolution on the ground, and solve our problems among political groups with. That is the big challenge.
But to that point, does the Syrian National Council, you're an exile group, do you actually represent the Syrian people inside the country? Because this is where the disconnect seems to be.
I think what we are looking at today are the real challenges. And I'm not concerned about one or two or three people stepping out. I am concerned about how we keep the connection with the revolution on the ground. We are now still waiting for the financial support that we need in order to channel it to the population. It is announced media-wise, we hear it, and so expectations rise, and we need to deal with the expectations that are not satisfied, with the aspirations that are not responded to, with an international position that is not bringing any of what is really required today for Syrians. Syrians feel they are abandoned by the international community, that they have to rely on themselves, and that they need to organize themselves by themselves, between inside and outside, between political groups. All of this is, believe me, very, very high challenges that we need to face. And obviously, if we feel that there is here or there some dissent within the National Council, it is because the horizon is closed. There's no prospect out there for real and serious intervention. What we need today is humanitarian intervention, is safe zones, is surgical strikes against a regime that has not listened or cooperated on any of the political and diplomatic initiatives.
Now, the Council recently announced that it was forming a special body to help coordinate the Free Syrian Army. What's come of that?
There is now an agreement signed with the Free Syrian Army. As you may know, there are groups within the Free Syrian Army. The fact that people picked up arms is not the decision of the Syrian National Council. It became a reality on the ground. But our responsibility is to try to bring these different groups under one integrated command and to put them in connection with each other so that they can coordinate. This is the work that we need to do. So we are working with these groups. It is not easy. Those sitting outside do not represent those who are inside, or only partially, and those inside are organizing themselves. This is happening very quickly. I think this is positive because we do see the emergence of regional commands for the Free Syrian Army, and they are organizing the civilians who are coming under their banner. So we are seeing quick developments on the ground, and that is something that we need to do very closely with the Free Syrian Army. It is to provide them with support, financial support, but it is also to mainly organize them and get them integrated under one command.
This organization that you're talking about right now, is there any conduit right now? You were talking about the appeal for military help, intervention from the outside world. Are you getting arms right now, and if so, from whom, to the rebels on the ground? Is there some conduit from the council to the rebel militias, the commands there?
No, the council does not do that itself. The council is a political authority, and it establishes a liaison office. We need to see those countries that want to provide military support to organize that, and we cannot do it ourselves. We
Qatar
have no
and
territory.
Saudi Arabia.
Yes, we have no resources and no territory to channel the.
So as of this
equipment.
time, there are no weapons. We've heard reports that Qatar, reports that Saudi Arabia are prepared to arm the rebels. But can you tell us, as of this moment in time, are there weapons being provided to the rebels by Qatar and by Saudi Arabia?
They don't provide arms. They provide the funds to buy those arms, and this is still not organized in any substantive way. There's only what the groups can themselves organize and what individuals can organize, but no more than that. I think what needs to happen is if we are going to establish a balance of forces with the regime's forces, today they have only light arms, so they are considered armed, but at the same time they don't have the right arms to resist the tanks and anti-tank weapons. This is not available yet. So we are in the worst situation ever, because they are targeted as having arms, and at the same time they don't have what is needed to counter the regime's forces. This certainly needs to happen quickly, but frankly, that is not what we look forward to see develop on the ground. We would rather see, and I think would be much less costly on the long term for the stability of the whole region and the integrity of Syria to have outside intervention. This is a very difficult decision to make, a difficult choice, but I think today there is a very large majority in Syria. We would prefer it to be the Security Council, but frankly, those dying on the ground don't care whether it's Security Council or NATO.
Now, the regime, President Bashar al-Assad, seems emboldened by the lack of unity in the opposition. He's moving against southern towns, and the rebels aren't as organized, it seems, there as they are in the north.
The rebels on the ground are more or less organized and equipped. That is true. The fact that the regime is emboldened is not because the opposition is divided. It's not because 2 or 3 people step out. It is because Russia continues to protect it, because it knows that there is an international situation. We are back to the Cold War context where we have 2 powers that have decided that they would support it. We have Russia, but we also have Iran. So we have a very determined Russian support to this regime compared to a much weaker support from our Arab and Western governments to come to the rescue of the population. This is what has emboldened the regime, really.
Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, the impression I'm getting, you're not very optimistic right now. You say that you have not been getting the support from the outside powers that you would like to see, that you say is necessary. What is, right now, on this 1-year anniversary, what's the immediate way forward for the opposition?
It is to channel support to the population, and support is not only military support. It's more than anything else. It is humanitarian support. It's funds for the social assistance. Really, the population now is dependent on the outside. Over a year, it has been only Syrian resources that have supported the revolt. Today, the Syrians need outside support, serious support, and we know the price is very high. We know that this is going to continue for a while. People are completely determined. They will not go home. They have lost families. The country is at war with this regime, and this will continue. for as long as as is needed. And I think we will see developments on the ground that will allow the population to resist better. If the support can be channeled, and it is channeled, whatever happens, you will still see that the population is able to receive aid, not enough medical support. So international humanitarian organizations need to come in and to act, and we will continue advocating and pressing for that very hard. But the option is not to go home.
Asma Kodmani, thank you very much for coming in to us. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to France 24.